Hey everybody, this is Perch, and it's Christmas morning. Hopefully, nobody's listening to this video. You're enjoying time with friends, family, or your video game virtual friends, whatever it happens to be, wherever you are. I hope you're having a great Christmas, a great holiday. That after this year, you've been out all year, and it's time to just stay indoors and have a nice, peaceful holiday, right? You've just not spent enough time in your own house. Sorry, I'm not going to go sarcastic here, I promise. Later today, I'm going to go super sarcastic. And by the way, just a heads up, hey, play along with me. I'm going to label the video that's going to go up in a couple hours as sarcasm in the title and the description, and pretty much right out the gate. Let's see how many people miss that. I know there will be a few. Anyway, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about Marvel's holiday special. And I'm going to talk about one particular story because I did all those Avengers stories, but how could I miss the Illuminati fighting Santa Claus for the Infinity Gauntlet? Yes, this story happened. You might have forgotten about it. Wouldn't blame you if you had. But before we get to that, Marvel used to do this thing where they would put out a holiday special. And it's kind of fallen off in recent years. I think both companies every now and then flirt with putting one out, and they'll throw it out there. But I want to take you back really quickly to 1991 when this Marvel holiday special first came out. It was $2.25, featured a cover by Art Adams and interior work by Art Adams. When was the last time you saw that? I mean, what's crazy about this holiday special is it was not the throwaway stories from a bunch of people who we are considering giving jobs if they'll work for cheap. It was actual legitimate people. There was a story in this one comic, in this one 1991 holiday comic. I'll read down the list. You had Scott Lobdell with Dave Cockrum doing an X-Men story. You had a Fantastic Four story by Walter Simonson and Art Adams. You had a Punisher story with Klaus Janson. You had a Thor story by Tom DeFalco and Sal Buscema. You had a Captain America story with Ron Lim. You had a Ghost Rider story with Howard Mackie and Al Milgrom. You had Captain Ultra. Well, they can't all be hot, but my point here is, I mean, listen to the name Scott Lobdell. You have a Spider-Man story by Ron Garney. You have pinups by a bunch of reasonably known people at the time: Tom Greinberg, Rick Levins, Marie Severin, Ron Friends. By the way, I do a bit where I don't pronounce a lot of the creators. I pronounce them as I've heard them in conventions, and it's my little joke. Every now and then that really irritates somebody. I'm having fun, folks. I promise it's just fun. But regardless, consider, if you will, picking up a throwaway holiday special with a Dave Cockrum X-Men story where basically the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants fights the X-Men in a mall. And it's kind of classic X-Men. Then you segue right into Franklin Richards with Sue Storm and the Fantastic Four, having kind of a bit of a sorrowful story of somebody, kind of a Christmas tale. It's kind of crazy when you think about Marvel putting this kind of talent on books. And this continued for several years. We had pretty much 4 years straight of a holiday special. Art Adams did the covers multiple years. But you had a Larry Hama, Michael Golden story. You had a Fabian Nacenta, Derek Robinson, New Warrior story. You had, it just had a lot of legitimate stories. Now, none of this stuff really mattered in terms of continuity. They were throwaway stories, so to speak, but they were some reasonable talent. They would actually put people on here that you would recognize if you're reading Marvel Comics at the time. And that's something that's gone away in holiday specials. By the time we got to 96, I think things were starting to devolve a little bit. First of all, they had a big talent exodus over to Image. But then, you're seeing your lead stories, Mark Waid, Pat Oliphant, kind of forgettable Spider-Man story. You had, you had some things with Kitty Pryde, with Evan Skolnick and Josh Hood. So anyway, it did change. And so as we got into the year 2000 and we continued on, they've done a story in 2007. They've done one in 2011. And again, a lot of then the names, not pretty forgettable stories, I would say. These are most likely stories that were commissioned, and then people forgot about them. And there's stuff by Andrew Farago and And, hey, C.B. Cebulski wrote a name under C.B. Cebulski, which was a crazy thing. Mike Carey, but again, just they're more throwaway stories. That Art Adams Fantastic Four story with Walt Simonson was actually pretty legit. But at any rate, forgetting about that for a moment, the story we're talking about here was written by Brian Reed and with art by Val Zemeckis. Now, what's curious about this was the Marvel Digital Holiday Special. And so even more doubtful that people have really read it. And we had a Werewolf by Night story. We had a bit of an X-Men story of them that really is somewhat reminiscent of the Dave Cockrum tale back in 91. And this story, for being digital, you had Todd Nook, you had Wando, you had Wando, Stephanie Buscema. You had some more kind of legit people in here for this digital comic, and you have a nice little kind of murderous scroll story that is pretty dark, in all things considered. But Santa Claus versus the Illuminati by Brian Reed. And basically our story opens right up with Santa Claus, and he has the Infinity Gauntlet, and he has been consumed by the Infinity Gauntlet's tempting power. And he's basically holding off the entire Illuminati, who's Doctor Strange, Black Bolt, Namor the Submariner, Iron Man, Mr. Fantastic, and Professor X are all trying desperately to get this Infinity Gauntlet glove off of a possessed Santa. So how did it come to this? Well, earlier in the evening, Santa Claus came to the Illuminati's help, and even though Black Bolt was not really into helping, because Santa Claus apparently never brought him his speak and spell that he wanted, they basically what's happened is all of Santa Claus' reindeer turned out to be scrolls, and so now he has no way of delivering the toys. And so the answer is the Illuminati gives him all of the gems and recreates the Infinity Gauntlet so Santa Claus can deliver the toys. However, he immediately falls prey to the glove's power, and Santa is running amok, presumably thinking about, killing off half of all existence. So as Santa Claus is preparing to do something super dastardly, Namor gets the bright idea to use all of his Atlantean might to throw a snowball and whack Santa Claus right in the mug. And by Neptune's nether regions, he did it. This was written by Brian Reed. I want to once again point out here. Anyway, and then Santa falls, and he says by Blitzen's nether regions, he dropped it. There's 2 panels in a row with nether regions as the statement. So that was on Brian Reed's mind. Anyway, he drops the Infinity Gauntlet, all that power gone. As he comes back to himself, he says, how did I get here? How embarrassing that I nearly lost control. But now what does he do? He's still in the same pickle. He does not have his magic reindeer being infiltrated by the Skrulls. He doesn't have the Infinity Gauntlet now. The Illuminati has realized that the gems are just too tempting for even Santa Claus. And so there's only one thing to do, which is Iron Man goes into his lab, and he just happens to have robot iron reindeer. And so he lends them to Santa, and Santa immediately takes to the sky with a hearty cry of on Dasherbot, Dancerbot, Prancerbot, Vixenbot, rolls right off the tongue. And they fly off into the sky. The reindeer's musing that, weird, they're programmed to need a drink. Why would Tony Stark program his robot reindeer to be alcoholics? Anyway, it's they comment that it's weird that he just had robotic reindeer laying around as Santa Claus disappears into the night, and Namor closes out the story by saying, "I am the king of all snowball throwers." And that is a hearty Marvel Christmas for all of us. So on that happy note, I hope all of you are having, like I said, a great holiday. Thank you for all the support to the channel, as silly and as weird as it sometimes gets. That's the point here. We're trying to have fun. I'm out here for fun. I am not out here for a cause. And the fun sometimes takes us to alcoholic robot reindeer delivered to Santa after he fell prey and ran amok thanks to the Infinity Gauntlet. Yes, this story exists. Now, Brian Reed does note this is not canon, but I mean, why not? I mean, there's got to be a reality where this fits, right? I don't know. Anyway, Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday, all of those things to all of you, wherever you are in the planet. I hope you're having a good time. Thank you very much. And all this year, thanks for listening.